Okay, so Prasad, do you want to start?
Okay, sure. So thanks for the introduction. Now, the flow is as it was for the initial few sessions that I did. I'll quickly start with the introduction of myself. So my name is Prasad. For those of you who are joining in for the first time, I did my MBA from JPMS in 2011, after which I worked in the industry for some time. Then did a small 4-month course at SP Jain, which is the entrepreneurship course called Start Your Business. In the meantime, I also got myself certified in BEI, which is an interviewing technique, and the strong interest inventory, which is used in career assessment and guidance. So I'm co-founder of Learning Roots. I'm sure all of you know about Learning Roots, and I drive the GDPI program there. In addition to my usual responsibility of training for the quant and logical reasoning and data interpretation section. I also have taken sessions at a lot of places in Mumbai, and that includes being the panelist for the summers and final placement mock interviews at JPMS. So today, yesterday we had a nice session on SIBM. We deconstructed the entire process and what to expect. We're going to do the same thing for IIFT this time. Now, IIFT, again, the process has been very standard. They haven't changed the process. I hope all of you can see my slide because yesterday there was some problem in the beginning.
Yes, we can. It's on hold. Yeah, we can. I can see the slide on the screen right now is process, essay, group discussion.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So the process has been standard for quite some time now. I think for the last 6 to 7 years, this has been the process, though the weightage of the individual components has changed. So if you look at the overall selection process as 100%, written test has been anywhere between 55 to 65% weightage, followed by interview, which has been around 15% to 25%. And group discussion and VAT, both of them have always been 10% weightage in the overall selection process. Coming to VAT, is straightforward VAT that you expect in any other B-School process. You get 20 minutes, a topic is given to you and you're supposed to write up to about 300 words on the topic. After that, you will be taken for the group discussion. The group discussion at IIFT generally lasts for about 30 to 40 minutes. And the reason for that is not that the actual discussion is 40 minutes, because you're given a topic. Generally, you will have 10 to 12 people in your group. Once the topic is given, everybody will be given 1 to 2 minutes to talk about their individual points. So that will happen for 10 people, which will easily cover your 10 to 15 minutes at least. And after that, you have a discussion of 15 to 20 minutes. So the entire will last for 40 minutes. After your group discussion, the panel that is there for group discussion will be different compared to your interview panel. So you will be appearing for interview with a separate panel. This panel will generally have 3 to 4 members, and typical interview will last for about 15 to 20 minutes. It won't take more than that. And interviews, again, will be coming to each of the components, the VAT, GD, and interview, so that it gives us a clear idea as to what one can expect this year. So coming to the first bit, which is VAT. Now, IIFT VAT, IIFT for VAT as well as GD, the topics have always been related to politics, economics, and the current scenario. So these are the areas where you will have to prepare if you are extremely serious about IIFT. Now, coming to VAT, I have listed down, so for each of VAT and GD, I have listed down some of the topics that have appeared previously in the IIFT process. So for VAT, if you see Incredible India, Energy Security for India, there's a lot of India topics. For example, Niti Aayog, government subsidies, Jan Dhan Yojana, India-US business relations, and so on. And in addition to this, you have your international topics. For example, effects of falling oil price on global economy, relevance of United Nations in New World Order, GM food, solution for future food demand, and so on. Now, for these topics, you need preparation because these are not the topics where you can, if you don't know anything, it will be very difficult for you to write concrete stuff. You can give some generic points, but then that is not going to help you in any way. So it will be a good idea at this point of time to, you have a lot of time for your IIFT process. So it will be a good idea for you to sit down and start preparing as early as possible. Make sure that you are writing at least one VAT every day by picking up any topic from the topics that have appeared in the past, or anything that you think is going to be relevant for this year's processes. I have one more slide on VAT. Again, if you see, India-US relationship has been quite favorite with IIFT, and I would suggest that you go ahead and prepare that, because even this year, because of the US presidential elections, the India-US relationship is going to be a favorite for VAT as well as GDs. Another area that has appeared quite frequently is the weather change. So climate change or global warming, environmental issues, these are the things that you'll have to prepare for. Then your core business topics, for example, M&A is an expensive way for corporate growth. Then economics topic, Indian economy will continue to show sustained economic growth, or equity market has reflected strong fundamental gains. Now, if you don't know anything about equity market or the fundamental gains, you will not be able to write about this topic. Hence, a good idea to prepare before you go for the process. Then things like, for example, CSR, which is again a very common topic given for VAT as well as GDs across B schools, that whether on the corporate social responsibility, how much percentage of the profit, whether the corporations should give some percentage of their profit to CSR and so on, and whether government should dictate that decision. So VAT is, as I said, very straightforward. You have to write till about 300 words. You're given 20 minutes, so quite a lot of time. Provided you have a definite structure and content with you, it will be very easy to tackle. So at least for these topics that I've mentioned, you can probably write VAT and then hope that, okay, you will get something which is related to this. Because you can always pick and choose things from what you have previously written and then mention it in the actual VAT. Now coming to GDs, so as I said in the beginning, everybody is given about 1 to 2 minutes to give their individual points, and because of which what happens is everybody gets, first of all, a chance to give their points, as there are people who at times don't get to speak during the GD. So they are asked at the end to summarize the GD, or they are asked their points. So instead of that, in the beginning only, if everybody is given an opportunity to speak their points, then the panel can also assess. But of course, you have to participate in GD. So it doesn't matter whether your initial points were really good or not. If you don't participate in the GDs, towards the end, they will mostly ask you to summarize the GD or ask your points. Now, GD topics have again been related to some of the social issues, Indian politics, economics, international politics and economics. Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, should politicians be given Padma awards? Children should be provided mobile phones. Should social sites be regulated? Is sports becoming an industry? India will surpass China's growth rate, and so on. So for these topics, you need some preparation. There are of course topics where probably you can get away without any preparation. For example, should social sites be regulated? You don't really need to have a lot of content beforehand to speak in this GD. You can pick and choose things from what people are saying and then you can build on. But for something like whether India will surpass China's growth rate, you need to have at least some basic statistics with you, and you should have read something to talk about this topic. Coming to the next slide, again where I've listed down more GD topics that have appeared previously. So if you observe the entire trend, it is largely focused on India. So does India need a black money amnesty scheme? Does India need a new brand of politics? Government should take a tougher stand to control commodity prices. And a lot of these topics are also related to trade and international business. So you have to have a strong command on your understanding of what is going on in the industry and the world right now, and what's your take on it. The more topics, different topics you prepare for, the better it will be for you. Now, a lot of times people ask as to how do I prepare for something like this, which is a little difficult to prepare for. One source that I really recommend is going through EPW, the Economic and Political Weekly. If you go to EPW website, you will have a lot of articles, editorials that you can just go through and maybe make small summaries of different articles that you read, and that will definitely help you in both VAT as well as GD. So if you haven't seen EPW before, just go to EPW website and that will help you. Other thing that you can do is you can read editorials of some of the international magazines on the journals or the newspapers that are out there, but it will consume a lot of your time. So it's better if you go topic wise for preparing for this particular activity rather than being all over the place. So my personal recommendation is EPW, of course, and if you go to the Indian government website, there also you will have a lot of statistics that you can mention in the GD as well as VAT. That brings us to the major part, which has always had more weightage compared to your group discussion and VAT. So GD and VAT, as I said, have always been 10% in the overall process, but interview has been 15% to 25%, anything like that. So you have to have a strong command on during the interview to make it. Now, IIFT always has the form, and all of you have definitely who have calls have submitted the form that was given to you. And this year they changed the form. So last year the form had different questions, and this year they have modified some of the questions that are out there. So whatever you have submitted, make sure that you go through your form once again, the entire submission, and then you can start writing down. So for interview preparation, first thing is your CV, and the next thing is IIFT form. Go through your CV and figure out what type of questions can be asked to you. And again, go through your IIFT form and see what questions can be asked to you. Now, at the bottom of the slide, I have given a link to a webinar that I had conducted on IIFT form filling, which is there on YouTube. So you can just go through it in case, of course, you can't do anything for to the submission that you have already made. Having said that, you can go through this webinar and try and understand the reasoning behind asking some of these questions and what is expected. So even though you may not have mentioned that particular thing in your form, you can always talk about it in the interview stage if at all they ask you. But in most of the interview experiences that we have seen so far, very few students have reported the exact question from the form being discussed in the interview room, which essentially means that though they are looking for some really good clarity of thoughts and answers to these questions, they are not really deal breaker when it comes to your actual interview or how it will go. But if you have clarity when you wrote these answers, that clarity is going to flow in the actual interview room as well. Now, for these questions, I suggest you go through that webinar because I don't want to discuss all the questions again. That whole exercise will take another hour or so. So instead of that, you go through the webinar, and if you have any doubts, you can always get back to me. But this year the form was changed, and it had some really interesting questions. For example, what's your favorite area of discussion on social networking website? Describe how you organize yourself for a typical day. And these things are typically things that you will not see on in any of the B-School forms that are out there. The other half of the form also had questions on the incident that changed your life, which was also there in the previous year's form. One thing that they have added this time is the national or global event that you think is going to have long-term impact. And it fits in the overall theme on which IIFT assesses candidates. So the international awareness, national awareness, and that is why this question is there in the IIFT form. Leadership team building skills are fairly obvious. One small pointer which I think I mentioned in some of my previous videos, while talking about leadership and team building skills, you need to have very good examples as well as a right mix of I and we statements. So when you're talking about things that you did, your initiative, you will say I statements. You'll use I a lot, but when you're talking about team, you will use we statements a lot. So these are very small, minor things, but then they make a difference. The conflict situation, again, I think most of you must have written something which was very important from your relationship point of view with that person, and how did you come up to the resolution. So that is something that can be a good discussion point during the interview. Now coming to the actual.
Sorry, Prasad. Sorry to interfere for a second. Could you please put that YouTube link down in the chat so people can click on it? Because just for their convenience.
Yeah, sure. I'll put it once I'm done with my PPT. Then I'll put it in the chat.
Whenever you want to. Just because it will be more clickable then, because they'll have to sit and type the whole thing otherwise.
Right. Understood.
Okay.
So coming to the personal interview. Now, your standard questions are always there in any B-School interview. So about yourself, why MBA, why a particular specialization, your hobbies and interests, and so on. Coming to IIFT specific questions, so in work experience, a lot of students in the past have reported that they were asked questions related to the industry scenario. For example, if you are working in, say, an automobile company, then you might be asked questions related to what is happening in the automobile industry right now. What's your take on what is happening in India as well as outside? Okay. So whatever, and academics questions they have always asked. So whether you have 0 to 2 years of experience, you will get academics related questions, but again, very fundamental questions. So if you are, whatever industry you are working in, if you have work experience, make sure that you have some idea, some key statistics as to what is going on in the industry, what is the future of the industry. Know your form well. As I said previously also, that the form that you have written, make sure that you reread it and be extremely prepared, because you don't want to be in a situation where you have mentioned some example in the actual form, and then you go for the interview and then you can't remember that experience. So to avoid such situations, read it once, twice, as many times as you want, and be extremely prepared there. In terms of hobbies and interests, again, questions like why do you do this, why do you follow this particular interest, and then questions related to that interest. For example, in one of the interviews, somebody had written that the person is interested in Japanese culture. Then he was asked to compare the Japanese culture and the Indian culture. So those kind of things you can always expect based on your hobbies and interests. Another thing that is frequently tested in IIFT process is your awareness of what is going on in the world right now. So current affairs, Indian and international politics, economics, and some of the terms. For example, they can always ask you to explain a particular term, which is from the international finance, international business, or even any political, economical term, or some of the world organizations that are out there. So you might be asked questions related to that. Another thing is that has previously appeared in IIFT interviews is hypothetical and situational questions, or your views on XYZ topic. So what are your views on this particular thing? Or there was a question which was asked to somebody that what will cause the third world war according to you? So be prepared for these kind of situations as well. I mean, of course, you can't really prepare for these things because sometimes they can be extremely vague. Having said that, you need to understand that these surprises can come your way when you go for the interview, and you should not be surprised if something like that is asked. So your interview preparation, you can probably do about 50 to 60% of the entire interview. Whatever kind of question that you're going to get, you can expect about 50-60% because it is impossible to predict what the panel can ask you. But if you give answers to even those 60-65% questions well, then you're sorted. And the last bit is why IIFT, because they want to know why you want to do this particular course, because it's a very specialized course, so to say. Now, if you look at IIFT, so what I've done is I got an opportunity to talk to some of our students who are studying at IIFT, and I have listed down 4 points on the next slide that you can use while framing your why IIFT answer as well. So I think that is going to help you a lot. Another thing that I had mentioned yesterday in the SIBM webinar as well, that when you're going for any institute process, make sure that you know, you do your research on the institute, as well as know some of the faculty members and the alumni that are doing well in the industry. So at least 4 to 5 names that you look up to, you should remember these things. And coming to why IIFT, which is my last slide. So as I said, I got an opportunity to talk to our students, and this is what they had to say. So it's the best place in India to pursue a specialization in trade, and I'm sure that's the reason why a lot of people apply to IIFT in the first place. The second thing is, and you will have a lot of big names coming to the campus for the final placement and the summer placements. The second big reason is faculty and curriculum. So one of the students told me that for every subject that they have, there is international perspective. Of course, the faculty is among the best faculty that you have in across B schools. And every subject has the international perspective. So if you have economics as subject, you also have international economics. If you have financial management, you have international financial management. So it will be a good idea to go through the website and the course curriculum and see what all topics and subjects that are there that are of interest to you, and then build that into your why IIFT answer. Another thing that a lot of people prefer is the student exchange program at IIFT. So students apply in the first trimester and are selected with combination of CV and interview. So it's not on the basis of your marks. And that is one of the things that separates IIFT. So not only this objective process of finding who should go for the student exchange program. So in your third trimester, I think you will be going out of country. And the student who told me this was actually told me this from France, where he was for his student exchange program. And the last bit is, of course, placement. So you have some really big names in trade coming for the placements. Another thing about IIFT is that the process is very objective. So if you look at the selection process, your written test is, as I said, 55 to 65% weightage. And after this also, you don't have any weightage whatsoever for your academic record or for your work experience, which is in a way good thing, because for a lot of people, in a way good thing, in a way not a good thing, because some people bank on it that, okay, they have good academic records, so they want some brownie points for that, or some people have good work experience. But then IIFT doesn't differentiate between somebody who has a work experience and somebody who doesn't. So freshers have equal chance of getting through, or people who don't have good academic records also have a chance of getting through IIFT, because there is absolutely no weightage, at least specified that, okay, academic is X% and work experience is Y%. So because of that, I think all of you have a good chance, those of you who have calls. And even if you look at the conversion ratio, so if we look at the number of seats right now, it's I think 220 for Delhi and 140 for Kolkata, making a total of 360 seats. And for 360 seats, I think this year they have given 1,970 odd calls. Now, from 1970, if 360 odd are going to be selected, which is still a fair ratio. Also, a lot of people will have other calls and so on, because of which the waitlist movement and everything, if you consider, generally the top 450 have a chance of making it to the institute. A lot of people also will decide not to come for the process and so on. So your final conversion ratio is much better compared to a lot of these schools that are out there. And that makes it a fantastic opportunity for people. Again, the process is not very, I would say not as strict as it is there in a lot of B schools, where they might grill you during the interviews and so on. So interviews are very light, but if you don't have any awareness about what is going on in the world and don't have any take on the international trade, politics, economics, then you are in a sort of in a difficult position. So you need to understand that. You can't really go with an assumption that this is going to be a normal interview, because in almost every interview they have asked questions on current affairs, economics, international economics, and business. So prepare well, and I've covered most of the interview preparation points in my previous webinars as well. So you can go through those webinars, and then if you have any doubts, you can always get back to me. So that's it from the presentation point of view. I'll share the link about the webinar that I had conducted. And then I'll be taking questions. So if you have any questions, put them in the chat window. I'll start answering them one by one.
Right. I think that was nice and short, just like yesterday. It was good to see, everything wrap up very soon because now people can go ahead and take as much time they want with questions. So guys, if you have questions, please put them down. I mean, I understand sometimes it takes time to come up with questions because you're so lost in the presentation. But think back on the the most basic kind of qualms that you might have in your mind when you're even thinking about walking into the like visualize walking into the interview session and everything that you might feel come up as a block. You can go ahead and ask him because perfect. We have our first question. Because Prasad has been doing interviewing for a while now. He himself interviews people, mock interviews. So he'll be able to answer your questions. Right, Prasad, please take this question. Chaitanya has asked a question.
Okay. Okay, what's the question? What about questions like how many cars in Delhi? Okay. So, see, first of all, you need to have some guesstimate. So these are these questions fall under the category called guesstimate questions. For example, how many barber shops are there in Mumbai, or how many cars are there in Delhi, and so on. So you need to have some estimate basis the population and so on. So you can make assumptions and then you can specify that, okay, these are the assumptions that I'm making. So let's say population of Delhi as the city, say whatever, 15 million people. Then you can say that, okay, how many households might be there. So you can divide that number by, let's say, 4, so that you get, say, number of families. Then you can make some assumption that, okay, for these many families, on the basis of, say, you can do some economic classification that, okay, people with annual family income over 5 lakh, less than 5 lakh, and so on. So then you can say that way. Can't I say as many cars registered with RTO? Okay, one thing that you can say, but then they're asking you for your guesstimate. So you need to give sort of a number that it's there. So I think both is fine, but then just saying that how the number of cars that is registered with RTO is not the best answer, because that is pretty obvious, right? That if there is a car running on the streets of Delhi, then it has to be registered with RTO. So the other thing is, of course, you can always say that the number that you are giving is not exact, because there will always be cars that are coming from other states and car from Delhi that are going to other states. So you can, whatever number that you say, you can always say that. If you think that this is higher, it is because there are cars from other states that have come in. If you think this is lower, then cars from Delhi have gone up. This is from a classic Birbal story where he was asked to find number of crows in the city or something. So that is something that you can do. Okay, another question. What other points we can talk about why IB, and what specific areas, industries to prepare for international current affairs? Okay, so as I said, one thing is the industry in which you're working is what you definitely need to prepare for. Some statistics, for example, if you're working in retail sector, then you need to know what's the current FDI permitted in retail sector. So they might ask you questions related to that. So your industry in which you're working, first of all, and the other is largely related to the top industries that are out there. So at least say the banking and financial sector, automobile, agriculture, the retail, and anything that generally has a significant part of the GDP. So that is what you need to prepare for. So recently I was taking an interview where I asked somebody, okay, in what industries FDI is not permitted. So you will have to have some understanding prior to your interview. The other is what other points we can talk about why IB. Okay, see, in right now at least, because there has been so much of integration of international business, so you don't really, in any business, it's having only national presence or presence in a state or a city is not the ideal way to, say, increase the presence. Because of which, if somebody wants to expand, then they need to consider the international business. Also, there are a lot of opportunities that are coming up for international business management students. even at IIFT, for example, some of the companies that come on campus, you get to work. I think the trade placements that you have, some of the students are placed in Africa for the initial few years with packages offered north of 1 lakh US dollars and so on. So the opportunities are immense. Why you want to study in particular is something that you can relate to your work experience if you have. So if you have had, if you have worked in, say, any company which has had international presence and you got an opportunity to work with international clients, then you can talk about how that experience, say, gave you different perspectives or opened your mind to, say, international business. And that way you can, yeah, so as you're adding, you worked in analytics with a UK client. So yeah, so this is something that you can integrate with your answer, that because of this you got a lot of exposure to the international business and how your company does business with some of the international clients, and that got you interested in IB, and because of that you have been reading about the international business and you want to specialize in it. Abhishek's question is, do the panelists emphasize on previous academics? Yeah, so in the past they've always asked questions related to academics, so irrespective of what you have studied. So you can expect a few basic questions. So if you want, can you mention what did you do in academics in the chat window? Maybe then I can give a few questions. Okay, electrical engineering, right? So you can be asked a lot of questions related to physics, electrical engineering, any. But again, to prepare, you can prepare only for the favorite subjects that you have, and then a few basic things. So I wouldn't suggest going through your textbooks and so on to prepare for this. But for few basic things, yes, you will have to prepare, and generally it doesn't come across well if you can't answer a fundamental question. So it's better to be safe and prepare and go for the process. Anything else?
I think, yeah, I think. So I think this is something that you mentioned yesterday also, Prasad. I mean, I remember this when you talked about chemistry, that the favorite subject thing is quite important, because, and I also remember mentioning this for the guys who weren't there yesterday, that you can very easily bend the interview, in a direction that you want to take it in. If you don't like physics, you can avoid questions about physics. I mean, you can just say that, okay, my favorite subject was chemistry. So and you take it in that direction, that kind of stuff. So okay, now I think I saw a few guys join a little later. They might be a little clueless about what's going on. So because they joined late. So the thing is, we're done with the presentation. Prasad has given us, given away some amazing insights, which you can catch later, because we're going to put this video on the site later on. And if you go to Prasad's profile, you'll see all his videos. I'm sorry, yesterday's video hasn't gone up yet because I was busy yesterday. But today I'm going to put up both videos, and so you can go and see both videos. Right now, since you are here, what you can do is you can ask him questions. We've got some questions already, so yeah, you guys can ask questions to him regarding the IIFT process, or even the interview process in general, as you wish, and he will answer you. Right, I think we have 2 more questions, Prasad.
Okay, sure. So I'll start with the first one that I got, which is on any specific questions on trade. Okay. Now, as I said, the questions have been about current affairs, India and international politics, India and international economics. So you need to have awareness of some of the terms from that domain. So, for example, the basics: price elasticity of demand, cost, price, exports, import. What do you mean by monopoly? What is oligopoly? Then say what is comparative advantage? What do you mean by something related to, again, the economic concepts that are out there. If this country decides to stop their trade with this particular country, then what will happen, and so on. So a bit of hypothetical questions, things like absolute advantage, opportunity cost, uh, and those kind of things. So there is no limit to what you can prepare, but I think at least go through the basics of economics and international trade. So I don't want to get into what specific questions can be asked because it will depend on the panel. Having said that, you can always at least prepare for the basics of economics. Okay, what work experience questions can be asked for analytics? Do they ask about projects? So for every company that you work with or any industry in which you work, they can always ask questions. So do they ask specifically about projects? Depends on. Now, generally in any interview, they will ask questions related to what you say, and they won't randomly ask something. So if in your answer only you mention that you work in analytics and then you handled a project of XYZ company, then they will ask you questions related to that project. So they may not get into directly project if you haven't mentioned it anywhere in the form or in any of your answers. In terms of analytics, they can ask you, okay, why did you work with this particular company? Especially if you don't have a background, if you or you're somebody who specialized in one particular engineering stream and then got into analytics, then why did you make that switch, and those kind of questions. So you can expect a few questions, but I don't think specifically about projects, unless you mention, they are not going to ask you. Another question, I have been working in my father's family business for the last 1 year. We supply free flow salt to pharma companies. Okay, can you tell me the questions which I can expect? So if you're working with your father, first thing is what designation do you have? Are you a joint proprietor? Are you a partner? What exactly is your role is something that they will ask. They will ask questions related to how do you source, how do you get more clients, do you do business development, then what's your turnover, how many clients do you have, why did you decide to work with your father if there were other options, for example, working in a corporate world. If you're not working, if you're leaving your family business for your MBA, what will happen to your family business? Who will take care of that? Do you have any plans of going back to your family business after 2 years of MBA? And if you want to do that, would you be willing to opt out of the placement process? How do you think will a specialization in international business help you, and international trade will help you in your business? So there are a lot of questions that can be asked, but these are the top of my mind questions.
We have another attendee who has just joined us, Meet, I guess, yeah, Meet Shah, yeah. So, just giving you a brief about what's been going on. So we finished our presentation. Prasad has already completed the presentation, but now we're taking questions. So if you have any questions regarding the process, you can go ahead and ask. Anyone else, you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Okay, there is another question that I think
Yeah,
Abhishek has asked.
Abhishek, I just realized, yeah. Yeah.
How to tackle questions like why you not choosing the best colleges in abroad for MBA? Okay, so see, first of all, this question is a little, I mean, you will not really get this question because when they say that why you not choosing the best college outside or in India, IIFT, if at all somebody asks this question, they are assuming that they are not one of the best colleges, and no B school would want to do that. But if at all they ask you that why you're not looking at colleges in abroad, you can always talk about the opportunity cost or even the cost of MBA and the return on investment. So see, it's not necessary that everybody has to go out of India to get the best education. The other thing that you can talk about is you personally don't think that there is large difference between say XYZ B school outside India and IIFT for that matter, because the opportunities that people get are almost at par, and then the quality of education that you get for the price that you pay is pretty much again at par. The other thing that you can talk about is the whole thing that uh, being from an international institute doesn't really mean that you will eventually do well in your career, or even that the same thing applies for Indian B schools as well. But then if you look at the cost of doing MBA here and cost of doing MBA outside, then there is huge difference. So that is one obvious point that you can talk about. The other thing is, at this point of time for in your career, you think this is the best thing that you can do or want to do. So the career goals that you have, if IIFT fits perfectly well, then why do you want to go outside and get the same kind of education? The other thing is you also have a student exchange program. So you are getting international exposure that you would get in the international B school as well. So instead of going outside, you can do it here. You can go for 2 months outside, then come back and so on. So you will also have people from outside coming and taking sessions, which means some of the international faculty will come and teach here. And that way it's sort of a situation where you get the best of both worlds. You get to have international experience as well as you're not paying a lot for it. So I think that's fair. But frame your answer. I mean, you'll have to make sure that you write something offline, and then when you go for the interview, then it will flow in a better way.
Right. I think we're constantly getting new attendees for some reason. Today this is happening a lot. Maybe because people were like 11 was a little early, I suppose. But anyway, we're still getting attendees. For everyone who has joined now, don't be disappointed. Even though the presentation is over, we're going to put up this video. It's still being recorded, and everything is going to go up on the website. Right. Another question from Gaurav.
Okay. How to respond to why should we take you? Now, in this question, first of all, you need to talk about, there are two things. One is how you are as an individual. So your achievements and things that separate you. And when you are joining a B school, the B school also has to gain something from taking you, right? So you have to talk about one, the achievements that you have, which segregates or differentiates you from somebody else, and that has to be part of your answer. The next thing is the value addition that you will do to the batch. So if you're somebody who brings in diversity to the batch in some form, then that value addition has to be mentioned. The other thing is, what are the things that you're planning to do once you're at IIFT? For example, if you want to join a particular club or community and perform well there, then you can mention those things. So at IIFT, what is it that you want to do? Yeah, so those things you can talk about. And the last bit is how IIFT fits in your career goal. So if that is something that you want to mention, then your answer should go to somewhere around 7 to 8 lines with two lines on each of your achievements, value addition, what do you want to do at IIFT, and how IIFT fits in your goal.
Sorry about that, Prasad. Can you hear me?
No, that's okay. I think, are there any more questions?
Any more questions? Please feel free to ask. Um, I should also mention here that Prasad is present on the platform. He's present on QS Leap, and you guys can always log in, go to his profile, and send him a direct message. Because I mean, then you'll get a chance to write a more elaborate message. You'll be able to list out everything that you may not have thought of today right away. That might come back to you later. So I think there's still a little bit of time until IIFT opens up their admission process. So until that happens, I think we can. We can keep gathering these insights. And you can keep collecting all your questions, and you can send them across all at once to him. That's perfectly feasible. Right, Chaitanya has another question here.
Okay, I need some idea what exactly is the trade taught in IFT. Okay, now for the entire thing, you need to go to the website first of all and check the curriculum because that will give you a better idea. The other thing that you can do is talk to some of the students who are currently studying at IFT or who have finished their course, and you will always find these people on LinkedIn or Facebook. Get in touch with them. It won't take a lot of time. You can always contact them and tell them that I want to talk about IFT. Can you give me 15 minutes of your time? And they'll be happy to do that. And I think, yeah, that's the best way to go about it. Go through the curriculum on the website and then Google. If you can't understand meaning of a particular term, then just use Google to know more about it. And that's it. I don't think you can do a lot before entering the institute. You can't have in-depth awareness of or knowledge of a subject, but you can have basic ideas to what the subject entails. So Google and then talk to some of the students that are out there. So your second question is it about stock market and all? Stock market is a part of it, but then it's not the whole thing. So I hope that answers your question, because stock market again in different countries work on the same principle, but then uh, it's just one part of the international trade that is out there. So at least for financial market, you need to know what is primary market, secondary market, and how stock markets function. But uh, as I said, that's not the only thing that is taught.
All right. So, right. So, you guys can keep asking questions if you want. I'm just going to let you know. I'm just going to remind you. This is like a reminder. So tomorrow we're going to have another session just like this one, and that's going to be about NMIMS. And again, I'm going to send you an email in the morning around 10ish, giving you the link to the webinar, and you guys can join again. It'll be Prasad again, and he'll be giving you. It'll be a similar sort of a presentation. The presentation will probably last like about half an hour or something, and then we will do this question answer round. So a good idea might be for you to, like, if you guys have any questions, keep them ready from before. Keep them handy, because then why I'm saying this is because you can take all of today maybe and sort of make a exhaustive list of questions. That's what I'm trying to say. So that's one of the reasons why I sent out one master email talking about all three events on Friday, sorry, on Thursday, and because I wanted everyone to be sort of prepared for it, because this is your one chance to sort of ask one-on-one questions with someone who's done this, for a while now. So uh, don't miss these chances. It's going to help you, because later on, whatever questions you send, you won't get the chance to get an immediate answer. I mean, you will get, of course, you will get answers, but you probably won't get them instantly. So, because everyone, you have to allow that much time to everyone to get back to you. So yeah, I mean, this is a good chance to interact with Prasad. So please make sure you come back again tomorrow. And this time it's going to be about NMIMS. Those of you who are interested in NMIMS, even if you're not interested in NMIMS, it's always a good idea to gather insights whenever and wherever you get it, especially if you're an MBA candidate, because you need to be aware of everything around you. You need to be aware of what's happening all all over, everywhere. So yeah, I'm going to send you the link again. I think we have another question, Prasad, from Gaurav. Yeah, another question from Gaurav.
Okay. Is having done a course in finance and economics at UG level with good grades, good point for being a good fit for trade and finance? Yes, absolutely. So if you have a background, then it is always easy to convince somebody that this is a logical extension of what you have done previously. So if you have done a course, then it's a good thing, because then you can always say that I want to learn more, or while studying that particular course, or while taking up that course, I studied XYZ things and I want to know more about them. And that's what I want to do over a long period of time. So it's a good point to mention in your why IIFT answer, I think. But as I said, having a background helps. But then, even if you don't have a background, because there are a lot of people who don't have a background, so just if you do well in the interview and are prepared with your answers for whatever is going on in the world and some of the conceptual questions that are out there, I think IIFT should definitely go ahead and select you. And the conversion ratio is a fantastic thing at IIFT. So out of some 1900 people, if 450 or up to even 500 people are going to make it, then it's a good number. So I think you should make best use of this opportunity that you have. Yes.
Perfect.
Okay, I think
Yeah, I
we
think
are done.
we're
I
done.
think
Yeah, we're done because it's 12.
session.
It's 12. Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, guys, same thing I said before. Any more questions, please feel free to get in touch with Prasad. He's there on our platform. If you have any recommendations about what else what you want us to conduct, that also you can reach out to me. You can reply to the email that I sent you earlier today, and you can reach out to me. And another thing, we're doing NMIMS tomorrow at same time, 11 a.m. I'll send you the email, no worries. Also, we're going to do two more sessions after NMIMS, Tapme and Micah. I'm not going to give you any dates now because we still haven't finalized on that. But then we're going to do two more sessions after this. And as you guys already, I don't know if you have been reading the other emails that I've been sending you. We also have other kind of sessions with other experts bring their own insights to the table, who talk about their own experience, etc. So we keep sending emails like this. So guys, please join our sessions because they are all. Our ultimate objective is to have you guys participate, talk to each other, talk to the expert. Gather as much information as you can, because if you're going to do an MBA, you need to know a lot of things before you get into it. Otherwise, you might just find yourself lost. You might find your classmates, you might find your batchmates through these sessions. So make use of them. It's perfectly. It's just an hour of your day. So I'm sure you can manage that much. So right, I think I'm going to end it here. We've had a great session today. Also, thank you, Prasad. Thank you very very much for making time for
Okay,
this,
thank you.
because he has very very busy weekends, but he still did this for us. So I'm extremely grateful to you. I'm sure everyone else is too. So, yeah, thank you once again. I will see you tomorrow. I will see. Hopefully, I'll see all of the same of you. All of you, the same list tomorrow as well. That would be nice. People have already started leaving, so I think I'm going to I'm going to end the meeting now. Right. Bye, guys. I'll see you again.
Okay. Thanks. Bye.
Bye, Prasad. Thank you so much. Bye.